Okay, so now I'm gonna do the probability calculator from FreeCodeCamp. Let me read the assignment. Suppose there is a hat containing 5 blue balls, 4 red balls, and 2 green balls. What is the probability that a random draw of 4 balls will contain at least 1 red ball and 2 green balls? While it would be possible to calculate the probability using advanced mathematics, an easier way is to write a program to perform a large number of experiments to estimate an approximate probability. For this project, you will write a program to determine the approximate probability of drawing certain balls randomly from a hat. First, create a hat class in prob calculator py. The class should take a variable number of arguments that specify number of balls of each color that are in the hat. So class should take a variable number of arguments that specify the number of balls of each color of the hat. For example, class object could be created in any of these ways. At one hat, yellow equals 3, blue equals 2, green equals 6. So it's gonna give me a bunch of different arguments. So maybe I should use that asterisk args thing as an argument there. A hat will always be created with at least one ball. The arguments passed into the hat object upon creation should be converted to a contents instance variable. Contents should be a list of strings containing one item for each ball in the hat. Each item in the list should be a color name representing a single ball of that color. For example, if your hat is red 2, blue 1, contents should be red, red, blue. So it's gonna have an argument, then this argument has to be converted to a contents instance variable.
Alright guys, welcome back, and in this video I want to talk to you about a class variable and an instance variable and how they're different, because it's not only important just between, understanding the definitions, but also for understanding exactly how your objects are made up. It's going to give you a really good understanding and, well, help you pretty much become an awesome programmer. So I'm going to make a class, and this is going to be a really simple example just to help demonstrate between a class variable and an instance variable. So this class, which I call girl, is going to have two variables. That's it, one of each. The first one is going to be a class variable, and I'm going to set this equal to gender female. Now what a class variable is pretty much any time you create an object from this class, it's the variables that they have by default. So, of course, every object that's of type girl is going to have female as their gender. All right, simple enough. So now that we understand that was like really easy, let's go ahead and talk about instance variables. So make another init method and pass in a name. So now what I want to do is I just want to make a new variable called name that belongs to this class, and set it equal to whatever name you pass in. So basically, whenever we create a new girl or a new object from this class, it's going to have two properties: a gender, and they're all going to be female, and it's also going to have a name. Now, the name is going to be unique to each object. So for example, every single girl is going to be female, but every single girl is also going to have a different name from one another.
So I have to declare an instance variable here. That's gonna be contents. Each item in the list should be a color name representing a single ball of the color. So I'm not sure if that's gonna be an object or a tuple. No, it should be an object like this. So I can loop through it. I have to use the enumerate. I think this works probably. No, I don't want to append the value. That's the problem. So assume ball dot index is the value, and when I multiply that and append the rest. So balls is this object. Ball is gonna be each dictionary of the object. Let me run this on Python tutorial and see if I understand what's going on. Index 0 ball. Yeah, ball is red. It's appending a function. Maybe I just want the value. Doesn't matter. No, I wanna get ball is red. I wanna get the value of ball. Yeah, this works. So this is the amount of times that I want to repeat. I'm going to append. So I probably don't need the enumerate. Let me try without enumerate. Oops. Can do a while loop there. Not sure if that's the best way, but so I did a while loop here. Oh, it's -1. Yeah, it works. The head class should have a draw method that accepts an argument indicating the number of balls to draw from the head. Draw method. The number of balls to draw from the head. This method should remove balls at random from contents and return those balls as a list of strings. The balls should not go back into the hat during the draw. Similar to an urn experiment without replacement. If the number of balls to draw exceeds the available quantity, return all the balls. So I think I'm gonna do one by one. I think I'm gonna search how to remove first.
Welcome back to our next video tutorial on lists in Python. In our first video, we just created a list for the first time. I've still got that on my screen here. We created a shopping list with 3 items inside of it. I also had a look at how we can display the items in the shopping list onto the screen. Okay, what we're going to do in this video now is we're going to have a look at how we can add items to that shopping list. All right. So we've got the list on the screen. What we need to do next is we need to ask the user what they would like to add in to their shopping list. So we need to come up with a variable name first. So I might write item. And we're going to set that equal to. I'm going to ask the user, enter the item you would like to add to the shopping list. Oops, put a colon at the end, space, quotation marks, and a bracket to finish off. So when the user enters in the item they'd like to add to the shopping list, it will be stored inside this variable here called item. Then on our next line of code, we're going to actually take that item that's stored in the variable and add it to this list. So it's quite easy. All we need to do is we need to write shopping underscore list. So we're now accessing this list at the top here. So shopping underscore list, I'm going to write dot append. That means we're going to add something else to this list. So we're going to go to the end of it and just add a new item. And in brackets, you tell the computer what item you would like to add to the list. That's okay. We'll get the idea of how it's working. So let's run it. Bananas, carrots, and chocolate. So we leave the shopping list up here as it is. Okay, and this time we're going from the shopping list. Okay. Now this time, instead of shopping list dot append, we're actually going to use the word remove, and then we're going to print the shopping list again.
So it's as simple as that. So contents.remove.
It's not much different to what we just had written. Okay, all we changed was just what we asked the user. We asked them what they'd like to remove from the shopping list, and then we're accessing the shopping list up here again, and this time we're removing whatever item they typed in. And then we just print the shopping list for them again. Okay, so we'll save what we got there. Now remember, our shopping list is just back to these 3 items, so let's remove carrots from our shopping list. Okay, so we write carrots, press enter, and you can see now our shopping list is down to just apples and bananas.
So numBalls is gonna be the number. Now I have to think about how do I choose an item.
Hey guys, and welcome to a new video from Acronyms. In this video, we will see how to remove items while iterating through a list in Python. As you know, list is a great and efficient data structure present in Python. It is used in machine learning, data science, and almost any paradigm of programming in Python. So it is necessary to know how to iterate and remove items from a list. So let me solve a simple output will be given, and based on that output, which will be basically it's returning an output of true because its marks are greater than 50. Then we will simply pass because we do not want to remove that item from the list. We only want to remove the items whose marks are 50 or less than 50. So I've created an if condition and I simply create an else condition. And what I say is
How do I select a random item from a Python list? Hello, welcome to Tech-Minded Python Recipes. In this video we will learn how to select random items from a Python list. We will use one of the functions of the random module to accomplish this in just a few lines of code. Before we start, if you have not yet subscribed the channel, please click on subscribe to be informed about more videos like this. Let's start by importing the random module into our code. Import random.
It's imported already.
Let's say that the reason you want to select a random item from a list is because you are building a travel application that randomly suggests a vacation destination to the user. So, let's create a variable named cities_to_visit and assign the a list of cities: Miami, New York, Paris, Bogota, Madrid. Now, we just need to use the choices function from the random method inside a print function. Once we run this cell, a random item is printed. If we try to run it again, another random item is returned.
So just random choice, then the name of the list. This method should remove balls at random and return those balls as a list of strings. Now that's the hard part. Um, I can use .join. You can do a while loop and then use join. Move equals this. I'll have to think if it's gonna be a string. And then I can do balls minus equals 1. And then I return. Well, I have to make this equal to something. Oh, it's not gonna work, I think. If I do this, I can just put plus equals. Yeah, maybe this works. And then I return final string. The numbers of balls to draw exceeds the available quantity, return all the balls. So if num balls is bigger than if contents, return. Oh, it's pretty much the same thing. I don't think I need to do this because it's gonna loop and then add them anyway. Yeah, there might be unnecessary loops though, if it's bigger. So I can do a simple for loop, I think, for a ball and contents. Or I can do this. I'll try. Oh, but I still have to put it on a loop. Yeah, I think this works. Next, create an experiment function in proc calculator pi. Here. Not inside the hat class. This function should accept the following arguments. Hat, a hat object containing balls that should be copied inside the function. Expected balls, an object indicating the exact group of balls to attempt to draw from the hat for the experiment. For example, to determine the probability of drawing two blue balls, and one red ball from the hat set. The hat set expected balls, two blue, two red one. So it's gonna give you an object and wants me to calculate the probability. that should attempt to draw. No balls drawn. The number of balls should draw out of the hat in each experiment. Which is the same as this one. Num experiments. The number of experiments to perform. The more experiments performed, the more accurate the approximate probability will be. The experiment function should return a probability. For example, let's say we want to determine the probability of getting at least 2 red balls and 1 green ball when you draw 5 balls from a hat containing 6 black, 4 red, and 3 green. To do this, we perform n experiments, count how many times m we get at least 2 red balls and 1 green ball, and estimate the probability as m divided by n. So m is the actual time that you got 2 red balls and 1 green ball, and n is the amount of experiments. As the amount of experiments converge, then it should be equal to the actual amount that exists on the contents list. Each experiment consists of starting with a hat containing the specified ball. Drawing a number of balls and checking if we got the balls we were attempting to draw. Here's how you would call the experiment function based on the example above with 2000 experiments. So I'm not sure if there's a need here, probably not. Hat equals set. Black 6 and 4, green 3. Probability equals experiment. Hat equals hat. Expected balls, red and green. Number drawn 5. Number experiments 2000. So it's gonna create a hat with certain amount of balls, and then these balls are gonna be on the contents. If this works. Oh, I forgot to change this this part here. It's just ball. Glad I saw that. Then the probability is gonna make hat equals set, which is choosing this set here. It's gonna give expected balls, which is the one that is trying to test the probabilities, then the number of balls that one should take out, and the number of experiments that he wants to run. Since this is based on random draws, the probability will be slightly different each time the code is run. And consider using the modules that are already imported at the top of prob calculator. Do not initialize random seed within prob calculator. I don't know what this means. Yeah, I think that's it and doesn't give me anything more. So I think I need to call draw first. I can put them on a while loop with the number of experiments to run until the same function until it reaches 2000. So draw is gonna give me a string. So this is gonna be equal to a list of 2 reds and 1 green. I can do the same thing that I did for contents, but for this. And then I can compare the two lists. It's kind of confusing to understand exactly what they want. Want to determine the probability of getting at least 2 red balls and 1 green ball when you draw 5 balls from a hat. Oh, so first I need to draw. Then I'm gonna get a string with the balls. So I think the first thing I need to do is call this function with number draw. Maybe I need to put self there. No, I need to call hats. Now why is giving me a bunch of errors here? Maybe I need to put self there? No. I'm just gonna ignore this for now. Just gonna try to write the logic. Gonna see if there's anything wrong when I run it. So I'm calling the function, I'm getting a string. I'm not sure. Yeah, that's the problem. I'm not sure if this. Maybe I need to make uh, another variable again to start the result. Oh, maybe I use this instead. Yeah, this one makes more sense. Because I want to be able to run on different hats. So this is gonna activate the draw function from this hat specifically. Now that I have the strings, I'm gonna I think I'm gonna do the while loop first, just so I know the indentation. Now I wanna transform the expected balls into a string as well. So I'm gonna loop through the object and I can use enumerate, I think. No, I don't need to. Well, actually, yeah, I wanna return the index. So there's something really wrong here because it's telling me all these red marks, but I'm not sure what it is. So this should be a string with the inputs here. Well, but it has to multiply as well. So I need to use this thing here. I think it's the same loop on this from this one. But instead of append, it should be string.join.
फ्रेंड्स, अगर आपने हमारा चैनल सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया है तो प्लीज़ हमारे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कीजिए और साथ ही साथ बेल आइकन को प्रेस कीजिए ताकि आप पा सकें हमारे लेटेस्ट वीडियो। हेलो एवरीवन एंड वेलकम टू पाइथन ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम फॉर बिगनर्स। आई एम गौतम फ्रॉम डब्ल्यू टेक। फ्रेंड्स, आज की इस वीडियो लेक्चर में हम अपेंड, एक्सटेंड और इंसर्ट फंक्शन के बारे में डिस्कस करेंगे, जो कि क्या है, मेरे लिस्ट के बिल्ट इन फंक्शन है। सो लेट्स स्टार्ट। सबसे पहले हम बात करते हैं
That's
अपेंड फंक्शन
list
के बारे में,
method.
1, 2, 3, 4। और जैसे ही मैंने
Oh, I can join the list, right? Can join the list to get the string.
Hello everyone and welcome to the first episode of Coffee Time Python, when I'll be showing you quick tips about Python. What we're going to look at in this video is something that I constantly forget and confuse, which is converting a list to a string and string to a list. So let's get started. Okay, so to convert a list to a string, it's actually pretty easy. So let's first define our list, which will be like, I don't know, my list, and let's define a few strings inside, maybe apples, bananas, maybe oranges. And now to actually convert that list to a string, what you can do is, let's print it straight away. You should do something like this. You define a string, which is like a delimiter. So this will tell how you'd like to see your string after converting from the list. So let's say we want to convert that list and show it as a comma separated string like this. And then you do join and put the list there. Okay, and let's see how it looks.
So it's a string, and then join, then the list.
Here we go. Maybe let's make it a bit bigger so you can see. We have apples, comma, space, bananas.
Why is this give me these errors? Don't understand. So here I removed. Instead of doing this, I'm gonna append them to a list. To a list. Then here I'm gonna make final string equals true, not join, raw list. Now I think it should work. And I should do the same here. So how can I call this list? Balls list, probably. Then I put join balls list. So this should be a list of the balls that are chosen here. And this should be the list of the available, the drawn ones. Let me just do number of experiments -1 before I forget. And now I want to compare them. And at least 2 red balls and 1 green ball. And draw 5 balls from a hat containing 6 black. We perform n experiments, count how many times m we get at least 2 red balls and 1 green ball. So I should have a count as well, outside of this loop. And estimate the probability. The issue that I'm thinking about is if I do match from regex, let me see what is this copy.
In this video, we'll look at the difference between a shallow copy and a deep copy. Now, in many programming languages, you can use the assignment operator, the equals, to make a copy of an object. Let's see what happens if we try to do that with Python. If we have a list of numbers and we use assignment to create a new variable new numbers, let's change the first number of our new numbers list, so 0, and let's make it equal 9 instead of the 1. And if we print out the numbers list and the ID of the numbers list as well, and let's do the same for the new numbers, so we want to print out the new numbers and we want to print out the ID of the new numbers. Now if we run that, so we can see both the variables actually point to the same object, as the IDs are the same, which means new number isn't actually a copy of the object, but just a reference to the original object. So if we make a change to new numbers, so changing the 1 to the 9, we also get the same change for the original object. So if we want to create a real copy of an object, Python provides us with a module copy, so let's import copy, and this module provides us with the functionality to do a shallow copy using the copy function, or a deep copy using the deep copy function. So let's say we have a nested list of numbers called old list. Let's create a new list using the shallow copy, so copy.copy, and passing the object we want to copy. And let's change the first element of the new list from 1 to 3 to A, and let's print out both the old and new list. We can see now we have a copy of the object. So change the first level of the object did not change the original object, so the new list has now got ABC, but the original list still stays as 1 to 3. Now let's try changing an element of the nested list. So let's change the first element of the list. So we'll make the 3 into a C, so the second element of the first list to a C. And if we look at the output now, we can see that both the lists have changed, so both of them have C's instead of 3's in them now. And the reason for this is because the shallow copy only creates a copy of the object, but stores a reference to each element of that object. So all the nested lists within our list object are all references. So if we wanted the object and all of its elements to be a copy instead of keeping references to the originals, we can use the deep copy. So if we change the shallow copy to a deep copy and give that a run, we can see that only the new list has changed the 3 to a C and the original stays the same, which means both objects are completely independent of each other and share no references between them when we use the deep copy. So that's the difference between a shallow and a deep copy. I hope this video helped. If you have any recommendations for new videos, put them down in the comments below and hit that subscribe.
So assume they want me to use new copy to create a new content list.
Hello all, my name is Krishna and welcome to my YouTube channel. So guys, we are going to continue the advanced series of Python, and here we are going to see the exact difference between shallow copy versus deep copy. So in this particular video, I'm going to take 3 things that we are going to learn. One is equal to, then one is copy operation, and then one is something called as deep copy operation. So we'll try to understand this particular difference. I had a lot of confusion before on this, but I tried to learn it, I tried to understand it, and there were some of the queries that were asked by some of the people in one of my classes. At that time, I just tried to deep dive into it and try to understand the entire concept, and the same concept I'm going to explain it over here to you all. Now, remember, whenever you want to learn about shallow copy or deep copy, always consider the data that you're going to, or the variables that you're going to initialize should be collection, because collections of elements are mutable, and they should also have this mutability property itself, right? And if you don't know about mutability, don't worry, I'll also be uploading a video very soon about that also. Now let's take one example and let's understand. First, we'll go ahead and understand about this equal to operation. Now suppose if I want to apply a list one, I will create a list one considering some elements like list one is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I will also create another list which will be assigned to list one. Now this equal to operation I'm talking about, this list is basically assigned with list one. Now once I execute this, here you'll be able to see this is my list one, and then you'll also be able to see this is my list two. Okay, so list one is this, list two is this. Now what happens? Suppose I try to take out one element of list two. Suppose I want to take out the index element of list two, and when I check the index one, I'm getting the value as 2. Suppose I assign it with some other value like 1000, okay, and I execute it. Now what will happen is that I will be able to see that in list 2 I'll be getting that particular element in the first index as 1000. Now one important thing that you have to note, that even though I check the element of list 1, here also it has got updated. Now why probably this thing may have happened? Because understand, list 1, when it is creating this collection of items, it is being creating in some memory location, and both the variables are actually referring that same memory location. So that is the reason if one of the variables changes the element, it will also get reflected in the memory itself. So both the outs. Do make sure that you put copy operation. Now see this, I'm just going to say copy operation. Now when we do use dot copy operation, you will be able to see once I'll execute it. Okay, suppose this is my list 2, and if I try to see this particular element, and suppose I want to change any elements over here. Suppose I want to change the first index element.
Goes the other way around. Run this, see what happens. Oh, so that's the issue, probably. I don't think this is gonna work. Oh, maybe keywords works.
Welcome back, aliens. My name is Arvind Reddy, and let's continue the series on Python. Up to this point, we have talked about functions, and now we know how to pass parameters or arguments to the function, right? And we have talked about different types of arguments we can pass, like we have keyword, we have position and default, and then we have talked about very important topic, which is variable and argument, right? So let's continue with that, and we just need to complete one small topic in that. So what I will do is I will simply create a function here, which will take some data from the user. Okay, now it will be a person data as we did last time. So there's a function. The function name is person, and it takes some parameters. Okay, that's nothing big. And the parameters which I want to pass is something like this. Okay, so what I will bring with those parameters is a different thing. Okay, here the important thing is I have a person function. I want to pass some arguments. Okay, when I say parameters, arguments, you can imagine they're same. Okay, so we have person here, and then a person want to send different data. Example, a person want to send the name, so I will say Naveen, and then I want to pass my age. I want to pass, let's say, the city which I live in, so I will say Mumbai, and then I will also mention my phone number. Let's say that is 97654. So we have here. The problem is, even if you try to work with that data, let's say I want to print all the data here. Now anyway, this data is tuple, right? So if you want to print all data, you will be using a for loop. Before that, what I will do is I will just print the name first. I will print a name here, and then I also want to print the data. So I will say print data. Now of course this data will be printed, and it will be printed in tuple format. So I will say run this code, and you can see we got data, we got name, and we got data as well. That perfectly works, okay? But the problem is, if I want to print this individually, and I don't even know what the user is sending.
Let's see if I do this.
what is 28? Is it the phone number or the age? What is Mumbai? Is it maybe the arguments? Now the difference is in variable length arguments you pass a number of parameters. You're getting an error here. It says got an unexpected keyword argument age, because when you say star, it will not accept keyword arguments, and that's where you will say star. So when you say double star, it means you're passing multiple arguments, but with the help of keywords. And the moment you run this code now, and you can see it works. We got data. Yay. Okay. So it's so simple, right? So if you want to pass multiple data and that too with the help of keyword, then we have to use keyword variable length argument. Makes sense, right? In fact, here we can also use a for loop to print the key and a value pair. So we can say for, and we have two things, right? We have a key and a value. So we have to say for I comma j in, and then we have to fetch from data, right? In fact, in normal books or projects, we normally write kw, which is keyword arguments, but that's fine. You can use anything here, doesn't matter. So here you will say for I comma j in data. So you will not simply say data, you have to say items, right? So you have to use a function called as items, and then you will print one data. You will print I, and then so you will say you will simply print I comma j. You will print the key and a value pair, right? So let's run this code, and that's what you got. So you got maybe you got age 28, you got city Mumbai, you got mobile number, right? So that's it from this video. I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know in the comment section, and do subscribe for the videos. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Hi, I'm Joe James. In this video, we're going to learn how packing and unpacking variables works in Python. This is such a cool feature of Python. It's kind of an inside feature that a lot of other programming languages don't have. So I'm going to walk you through a lot of different examples to show you exactly how to use this. And in a few minutes, you're going to learn some Pythonic code. This is useful for swapping variables. It's also useful for assigning variables, let's say 3 at a time or something. It's also useful for passing variables into functions. So I'm also going to cover the star operators, star args, and star kw args. I'll explain to you what those mean and how they're used in Python. So let's take a look at what I mean by packing and unpacking variables. First, you can assign variables in groups. If I want to set a equal to 1, b equal to 2, c equal to 3, I don't have to create 3 different statements to do that. I can just say a, b, c equals 1, 2, 3. It does all 3 assignments in one single statement, which is really nice. And then I can print out a, b, and c, and you can see the result. A get whatever was in y, and y equals, if I want to set a equal to 8, b equal to, this gives you a tuple. Python sees a, b, c as a tuple. If you want to tell Python that this is a new list, you have to put the tuple under the variable name args. So star arg says, hey, Python, however many arguments there are. And if you want to do the sort of opposite, star kw args, what does that mean? Well, kw just means keyword args.
Talk about
and what does that mean?
the simple stuff. Class should take a variable number of arguments that specify the number of balls of each color that are in the hat. For example, a class object could be created in any of these ways. So it's gonna pass a bunch of arguments and gonna make them equal to a value. A hat will always be created with at least one ball. The arguments passed into the hat object upon creation should be converted to a contents instance variable. Contents should be a list of strings containing one item for each ball in the hat. Each item in the list should be a color name representing a single ball of that color. For example, your hat is this, contents should be this. So I don't understand if it's gonna pass this, as an argument. But then it says that the hat is this.
Hey, how's it going? So today I'm going to talk about the star args and double star quarks or keyword arguments. And this is, again, a feature in Python that can be a little bit arcane if you're seeing it for the first time, just because it looks a little bit weird and it has this strange sounding name, right? Arg and quark, and what is this even good for? So I want to talk about how these things work, what they're good for, and how you can use them to write better programs, to write more Pythonic Python, and just become a better Python developer. All right, so how do these guys work? How do these
Okay.
args and quarks work. So let's take a look at the simple example here. So I'm defining this function foo here that takes one required parameter, and then it also has these args and quarks here. And what it's then going to do, it's going to print all of these arguments, right? So if we have args, we're going to print them. If we have quarks, we have them. We're going to print them, and we're also going to print the required argument. And that is going to be our test bed to actually inspect what's going on behind the scenes. So first of all, what you can see here is that this function, because of this definition, it will require at least one argument that's called required. But it can also accept extra, positional, and keyword arguments. Now, if we call this function with extra...
We just call keywords instead. No, I don't need this. See what's the problem now. Name contents is not defined. Hmm.
Hey Fingsters, in this
I'm
video,
go to the bathroom real quick.
we will quickly discuss how we can declare a global variable inside a function. Now if you look at the screen, we have a global variable x. Now I call it global because it is outside the functions, that is, it is declared outside the functions, and so will be available throughout the program, that is inside as well as outside the functions. Now we have a couple of functions, foo and func. Inside foo, we again have the variable by the name x. However, this variable is the local variable, that is, it is local with respect to the function foo. So now when we print the value of x inside the function foo, we get 25. However, inside func, when we use the value of x, it should use the value 20. because now we are using the variable x from its global scope. So the output in this case should be 100 plus 20, that is 120. Now let's check the output. So as expected, we have the outputs as 25, that is for foo, and 120, that is for the function func.
Maybe we just need to put self.contents. You can do this by pressing Ctrl D. Selecting what you wanna change in. Pressing Ctrl D. Yeah, now I think it works. Let's run now, see what happens. Expected string instance, non-type font. So the final string is not working. Line 30. Oh, it works. So the problem is probably not here, it's in the list. Let's see if I can. Yeah, no. So the problem is this thing. Maybe I can use new list instead. New contents. Maybe I should take this out here. And it still gives me none.
Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to be showing you how to remove all instances of a particular element from a list, but specifically we're going to be using a for loop. So I'm going to do this in the way you would think to do it, but there's actually one issue, and I'll get to that in a second. So you would say for item in backpack, what are we going to do? We're going to say if item equals pizza slice. So we're going to check to see if it's
Let me see what this new contents is. Okay, so new contents is a list. Maybe I can pick a number instead. I print random.choice new contents. Green. Okay. So it is taking something from the list. Maybe I should just append instead of removing. Should remove balls at random from contents and return those balls as a list of string. The balls should not go back into the hat during the draw. Oh, understand what they mean. So during the draw, the balls can't come back, but after the draw, then they can come back. Because otherwise you affect the probability. So I do have to remove. I'm trying to print this whole thing and see. How do you remove it after you've picked the element? Maybe if I do it on two separate lines, but don't think it's gonna work. Because it doesn't make any difference. Maybe if I do it like this. Then let me redo all these things. What's happening is I'm picking a random item, but is not understanding that because there's a bunch of items that are the same, so not understanding which one to remove. I think that's the problem. There's also a problem here as well. So I think that's not gonna work. So I'm gonna try a more complicated approach. Integer. Yeah, I think that's what I want. So randint. Now let me think about it, because random. This is gonna go from 0 to let's see if this works. So I'm drawing a random number from 0 to the length of the new contents list. Then I'm removing the item with that index. Oh, I have to remove actually. Then I need to append. No, maybe yeah, it's better to append first, then remove. So new contents, not remove. It's kind of confusing, but okay, there we go. Let's see if this works. List index out of range. Oh yeah, that's the problem. Because every time I remove, oh, but the length should decrease as well. Maybe I should make -1 and then works. I think it's worth trying. Great, now it's goes to infinity. So it's clearly this while up here. Oh no, maybe it's here. Or maybe just a bunch of tests. Because here it goes, makes -1 every time. And here, true. Here, -1. -1. Expected red hat draw to return true random items from hat content. So the way that I'm iterating the first thing is probably wrong as well. Maybe I don't need this while up here. It's gonna go through all the arguments and then append them on contents. A list of strings containing one item for each ball. The so args is gonna be this thing. I think I need to do this to understand what's going on. So keywords is this list. Yeah, it's a dictionary. Apparently it works. But red is supposed to be 0. Hmm. It's assuming that is black for all of them. Oh no, it's right, I think. Let's start off 6 for archery. Or yeah, I think this is correct. So let me try to do. I think there's more less errors now. Still failing true, but less errors. Still giving me the same error before. See if this makes any difference. I don't think it does. I was going to see how to mesh them and search for that.
Methods. So the first thing is re.search. So let's just go over some of this syntax. So re.search has three parameters, or three arguments, and the first one is the pattern, the regular expression pattern. The second is the string, and the third includes flags. So flags we'll go over a little later, but they're sort of special options. So if you want to sort of ignore capital letters or deal with multi-line, flags will help with that. So the key difference, so we have regular expression.search and regular expression.match. For re.match, of course, it's the same. It has the same arguments or the same parameters as re.search. Now the key difference is re.search searches anywhere within the string, as opposed to re.match, it only searches for the beginning of your string. So re.match searches at the beginning of your string, and re.search searches anywhere within your string. So let's just go through some examples. Okay. So these are very simple examples. As you get the hang of it, we'll go
Consider using the modules that are already imported at the top. Not initialize random seed with prob calculator pi. Within prob. What does that even mean? So it's a method to initialize a random number currently. Return the probability. So then here's gonna be count divided now I just have to figure out what's wrong with this. Maybe it was a typo. Oh, I forgot. Mm. I'm decreasing the numbers. So if I make it equal to a variable, it's not gonna matter because they're gonna point to the same place in memory, I think. So when it decreases by one, it's gonna decrease by one as well. Maybe we should do for I in range num experiments. And now it's failing 3. Before I was failing 2. I think was failing 2 just because I wasn't returning the final function. Thing is that I don't want to just convert.
Hey Fixers, and welcome to this video where I want to show you real quick how to convert a dictionary to a list and what is the most Pythonic way of accomplishing this. Okay, so given a dictionary with some keys like Alice, Bob and Carl and some values, for example ages, age value, integer value or something, 19, 23, 47, you want to obtain a list of...
I can use enumerate as well. It's not gonna change it. Index I assume is gonna be the strings and ball is gonna be the number. So that should be the other way around. It's the other way around. And it doesn't change anything because the index is just gonna be, yeah, scratch that. Yeah, I'm stuck and I'm already tired, so I think I'm gonna stop here. I'm gonna watch the videos of other people doing the challenge. Then, but I'm not gonna solve anything. I think I'm just gonna watch the videos of them doing, see how they did it, and then try to do it again tomorrow. I think if I spend a lot of time, I can probably figure it out, but I'm already tired, so yeah. So yeah, I'll probably come back tomorrow. Try to finish. See you then.